So whatever is blocking your ability to go to the next level is likely not in your strength, but in your willingness to fall apart, in your willingness to be, in your willingness to grab what we're calling the feminine energy.
Hey, it's Nikki, Llewellyn Gregory, and you're on Gut Plus Science. You're in for a fast-paced, storytelling, action item-rich leadership growth experience. I hope you make this podcast a habit. I consider it a leadership mentoring tool. Learning together makes us better together, and that is how we change the world around us. Let's get to it. Hey, it's Nikki back on Gut Plus Science. So most leaders I know, the ones that I surround myself with, they're driven, capable, committed, excited, yet many of us still feel this sense of exhaustion and defeat sometimes. We're running up against this invisible ceiling. And today I want to get under that with my friend Roya. So today my guest is Roya Mattis. She is a transformational speaker, coach, incredible recruiter. She's the creator of the Trifecta Method, which is a framework that helps leaders rewire subconscious patterns through the mind, nervous system, and soul. And that is what we're digging into today. Her work guides high achievers to move past that silent sabotage to that authentic power that is within us. And in this conversation, we're going to really understand what is that thing that's holding us back, explore the balance between masculine and feminine energy, and how to reprogram ourselves from the inside out, shifting towards those results that we want to lead into. So if you felt stuck, we all have, right? Maybe you feel stuck right now and you're doing all the right things, but the things aren't happening to get to the success that you're wanting. You're in the right place. Keep listening. I am so excited to dig in with Roya today. And Roya, welcome. You built movements. You've led masses of people to success and coached high achievers of all kinds. What have you learned is the thing that's really holding us back?
Thank you for having me, Nikki. This is so amazing to be with you. You charge me up, by the way, on and off screen. So it's the subconscious, really. It's the subconscious, meaning we attach to success, or it's the fear of vulnerability, or it's the body's ailments. I have a saying, and I believe it's so true: limit the body, you limit your soul's expression. So your body is the space that your soul gets to dance in. So it can also be ailments that not always, but often start with emotional stuffing. It's all about the meaning. And we're often unaware of the meanings we attach to things that happen in our life. And if you are aware, it's actually not even enough. That's like step one in AA. You can name the problem, but to upgrade out of its many layers and execute it deeply so that it doesn't rear its head of what it thinks it's doing. We're an animal species wired for survival. Anything that threatens our survival or loss of love, which is like death itself, perceived or real, will be avoided. So it's just going to continue to pop up. And that's what stops us. That's what sabotages us. What once kept you safe can keep you confined.
Yeah. So do you have a story of someone that you've worked with that's hit this invisible ceiling and you worked with them to help shift and uncover this subconscious blocker, right? Like, take us through that.
So the subconscious identity is markers for every single area of your life, whether it's in your body, your money, your relationships. It shows up everywhere, right? And yes, I'm going to give you an example of one of my dear friends now, actually. And she was doing quite well in business. Her business was running at about a $2 million revenue a year when she started with me. But she wanted more. Every ceiling is a ceiling. For some people, that's their highest goal. For some, it's beginnings. And so she came to me about 9 months ago. She said, I'm doing all the right things. She's platinum partner with Tony Robbins. She's done a lot of deep work, right? And she had not yet found the core of what was blocking her to the next level. And believe it or not, most of our self-sabotaging, our subconscious wiring is happening before the age of 7. This might not be new to your audience, but we need someone to come into our gorgeous cave and shine a flashlight and say, have you looked at this part? And I found the most intelligent people actually block their upgrades the most effectively because we can I made up this word, but I think it's well used. Positize things. We can effectively compartmentalize things and never go back to root issues, and we just move forward like soldiers. And so what it ended up being for her, she was all of about 4 years old, trying to cook noodles in a kitchen. And she messed it up. It dropped all over the floor. And in that moment, she decided she was not capable enough to do hard things. She was not good enough to be in spaces with capable people. She was not enough. From noodles dropped on the floor at 4 years old. So when we went into that memory, because time is linear, and reframed it and leveraged it for what she needed it to mean now, because at one point it kept her safe for where she was. That woman in 9 months has gone from a $2 million business revenue to income of 10 million. That's blowing the roof off of your. So if your audience is like, I'm done all the freaking things and this is happening, well, your subconscious is going to keep you at the space that it believes you deserve. For your good or not good, it's trying to protect you.
Yeah. I know you're going to get into this when we learn about the human trifecta and more of your ways of what you do. But what comes to mind for me and what I've learned, and I can get better at all of these things. It's like I know them, but I need to put them into practice better, is the beliefs that I have about myself, the true beliefs of where I could go, opportunity beliefs, and then what are my limiting beliefs that stand in the way? And then also like the contracts that I've made to myself, my commitments to myself, that I am this and only above this, right? And you look at, the people in this world that you're like, gosh, it just looks so simple for them. They just, wow. And it not necessarily was simple. They could be flowing in what they did, but they did the work to get there. They believe in themselves at this place. They truly believe, and they've worked through these limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs will always creep in, but we have to constantly work to have those opportunity beliefs. But then the most successful people I know have a contract commitment to themselves about who they are and their boundaries and like this, and I think that's probably going to play into a lot of this, but any comments on that before we dive into
No, it's so true. And well, here's the thing that can happen also to these achiever mindset. They can get on a roller coaster because of their contracts that are serving them in one area and sabotaging them in another. For example, if you're an entrepreneur and you're experiencing money at a certain level and then losing it and then coming back and losing it, it's on a roller coaster, and you can look at the outside factors and you can justify or point to something of why it happened. But if it continues to happen, it's a pattern in your life. You might have a very strong identity of being an achiever, but you keep hitting the cap of your identity of income deserve level. What's the identity going to be that you don't align with if you go past that deserve level you're not even consciously necessarily aware of? And then that achiever has to have space to achieve. So the subconscious directs a correction gap of less money to give you room to achieve again. So this is where our roller coaster is. So anywhere you have hit a wall in your body or your relationships or your money, you have a strong identity in one area that's serving, but another area that is maxed out. So the job is now to find the root of the belief that blocks it from the next level so that you can stop that back and forth self-sabotage.
So fascinating. And just before we go into the human trifecta, all of us have the opportunity. You see every single person that is listening to this right now has the opportunity to get to the level of wherever they want, no matter your blueprint from what you think of, oh, but I grew up this way. You have the opportunity to change at any time to be able to get to where you want. And that's what we want to break down. So the human trifecta, walk us through that. It's the trifecta method, right?
Trifecta method. Yeah.
Can you walk us through the trifecta method?
It came from my own frustrations with myself and thousands of hours of workshops. Literally, I've probably done over 3,000 hours, and having a petri dish of literally thousands of people across the country that were achievement oriented or desired achievement, that were receiving a certain level of training and opportunity and had need and ambition and kept bucking against themselves. And so I became obsessed with the root cause. What is the root cause that we keep hitting things that we deeply desire? And we're doing the affirmations and the incantations and the disciplines, and yet here it is. And so as I was unwinding it for myself, and part of it for me was not even in business, I was unwinding things inside intimate relationship. I was unwinding things inside of my body. I had a subconscious identity with a lack of energy after an incident that happened in my life. And I no longer consciously identified with that, but I kept meeting myself there. So step one is what we have done for ages and ages in therapy, and that is talking. The mind. The mind was the sole focus for decades inside of therapeutic work. And the mind is a great place to start. But this is the starting point. So I call the mind the know. This is what you know. This is the 10%. Hey, I have this problem. I know. Hey, I think this problem stems from this. I know. That's the 10%. The real challenge is what's below the surface. So mind, 10%, let's look at it as a glacier. I see this point on top. I identify it. There's all this mass under the water. Well, now they have uncovered in the last really decade that the body is the space that is holding the truth that the mind can't always identify. And so when they talk about the body keeps score, now there is a therapy called somatic therapy. That's the therapy of the body. You might be saying, I don't really believe this, but your body reacts means it really does, and you're just unaware. So mind is where I start. Body is where we go next. And in that space, I have many different methodologies depending on what the person's challenge is calling for. Essentially, though, we're listening to the body and we're putting that prefrontal cortex, this beautiful thinking mind, at rest. It's like a light hypnosis where you're fully in charge, you're aware of everything, but your vagus nerve that tells the fight or flight, freeze, fawn, we're in danger, chills out. Prefrontal cortex goes, okay, I can take a rest right now because I'm in very much of a trust space, and I'm going to let the body tell you the truth of what I'm thinking and feeling. So that's step two. So it's about 10%. I'm just going to make about a 70% here. So now we're at 80. A lot of people can do this. A lot of practitioners now have the capacity to go in the mind and the body. The crux that is not in mainstream, that is extremely critical, is the third piece in the trifecta, and that is, what is your DNA coding? You see, your DNA is not just for your hair and your eyes and your skin color. You are an animal species when it comes down to it, and you are wired to survive. And when they look at the studies on DNA, we'll take, a lot is done with rats. So I'm going to take an example of rats to put an exclamation point on the third piece I'm going to give you. They put these rats in a tank, and I'll just pull one of the studies that had pomegranate seeds. They put these pomegranate seeds in this maze. And when the rats came upon the pomegranate seeds, they would be shocked so badly that they would pass out, or they would run away squealing, or die. All right. Now, those that survived had offsprings. These offsprings put in the same maze, pomegranate seeds, never touched. In this particular study, guess how many generations deep were passing out, running away squealing, even dying, never being touched? Guess how many generations, Nikki? 7 generations behaved the same way. Now, they have found that it can be from 4 to 70 generations that had these survival tools, but what once kept them safe is now keeping them confined. Why are we any different? We're also a species. So You have done now, okay, in my lifetime, this happened. Now I have adjusted this memory. I'm still bucking against myself. Why? Well, your DNA has the coding to keep you in survival. So I had a client, for example, it can show up physically. This client had done everything to figure out what was going on with his lungs. Very high achieving man, had a lot of anxiety and shallow breath, and it ran in the twins of the family. So what's fascinating is he'd done all these things by the time I met him. Most clients have done all these things by the time we met. And so we went into the DNA. Now, how do I do that? That, Nikki, was not something I ever planned. That was not something I studied. That was an activation. That was a gift in December 2021. It was literally like I literally witnessed it happening and didn't know what the heck was happening to me.
Wow.
So I become a vessel. This is not me. I set my ego aside, seal sacred space, and I'm channeled to go into energy, and I can begin to feel the person's, even their heartbeat and so forth in my body in pains. And then I begin to see memories in my right vision, and I hear clear guidance. Sometimes it takes me into the client's current lifetime. Sometimes it takes me into the, I don't know, I'm not God. I don't know if it's their past lives or their ancestral lineage, but what showed up for this man is a woman that was a concubine. Okay, I know this is getting really weird, everybody.
Oh, I'm on the edge of my seat. Like, come on.
Getting really, really weird. But we ended up, I'm seeing this woman and she is pregnant. She must be pregnant with twins since it's running in the twin line. She's pregnant and she has a tyrant he's not even her husband. She's one of a many, 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 many wives. She's the carrier of child for him. And he gets angry at her and he steps in the center of her chest and he crushes that center sternum, and it grew back concave. And so what it was showing me is that her breath was shallow and she could not ever get a full breath after that. Well, remember that when you are in the womb, you are simply a sponge receiving everything that's happening to the carrier, the mother. And so for whatever reason, the genetic coding went into the twins as if they also had this concave chest.
Wow.
Okay. Again, remember, I'm the witness. I am not the developer.
Yeah.
So I just ask, is it possible, time being linear, quantum physics has that theory that time is linear. Is it possible to redirect the timeline? I don't always get a yes. Yes was granted. We pull her out of that option of life. She's no longer the tyrant. And she goes off and has this beautiful husband. And oh, by the way, she could never even touch the children that they just left. They were just taken from her. So he also had this challenge with feeling wanted. Now, he and I went into, this was session 1 when I met him. I met him at a medicine space, and I don't do the medicine, but I hold space in there. And I'm there for recalibrations and so forth. And then we went on to do work together. He was having these attacks almost daily. And he's had 2 attacks between now. This story is from the end of January, beginning of February to today, which now we're recording this in October. And the rest of the piece was body memory. And we've had to teach him some things, but the autonomic response dissipated through the DNA. So this is why the DNA piece is really important to very problematic challenges. And that's the trifecta: mind, body, soul into the DNA.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So now bring in, because this is going so fast. And I'm like, okay, what is it that we need to make sure we cover here? I want to understand this feminine and masculine energy piece and help us understand where that comes into play here with we're feeling stuck and needing to understand our masculine and feminine and how to tap into those. Explain this.
Yeah. Okay. So we also want to talk about leadership in general and just as a human being. So feminine energy is the being energy. Masculine energy is the doing energy. For those of you that have been hearing about it, I like to have a visual. Maybe you haven't really dove into what this is of essence, because there's a lot of misnomers. Femininity has been demeaned, demoralized, and sexualized. And there's all these ads about, oh, or these, social media posts about, oh, I'm going to go tap into feminine energy and get my hair done or my nails done. Or, you are not in your feminine energy by doing that necessarily. And here's why. I ran and still have a position there, a very high position in cosmetics and skincare. And I looked so glammed up. I had my makeup, my heels, my bling, and I am in a feminine business, but I was operating in a masculine energy doing that. Going to get my nails done, still getting all on calls. I'm not dropping into the being. So it's an energy, and it's in both men and women, and very necessary for both genders. I think of it as a river. The bank is the masculine energy. It gives you the direction. It gives you the depth. It tells it the river, how fast, how slow, where it's going, point A to point B. The feminine is the water inside the river. It floats to the direction, but without the water, without the water, you're going to be trudging a lot harder to get from point A to point B versus flowing through it. Now, water is so powerful, it can be a typhoon that can destroy. It can also be so muted, it sinks in the earth, nourishing, and nobody notices. There's a lot of flow inside that water space. So in modern society, we have a thought that this masculine is the superior and the feminine is inferior energy space. So here's what's fascinating. Even in the microcosm of nature, there are 4 forces responsible for creation. And this is an exclamation point of why feminine energy is just as, if not arguably in some places more important, and the other is more important in other areas of life and being, as the masculine energy. So one is gravity, the other is electromagnetic force, and then there's the strong nuclear force and the weak nuclear force. So the strong nuclear force, let's call this masculine energy, has one job, and that's to keep the nucleus together. Atoms are based on how strong the nucleus is kept together. And if not, then all creation would be gone. All right. Now, they call that the chi or the prana inside of you, the Christ or the divine source, this strong nucleus force inside of you. Well, the only way that it is operational is because of the weak nuclear force. The weak nuclear force allows things to fall apart. It allows things to release, to burn down. Think of nature and forest fires, etc. The stronger the weak force, the stronger the expression of the strong force. This is in the nucleus. This is the very life force of the atoms that builds entire creation. So whatever is blocking your ability to go to the next level is likely not in your strength, but in your willingness to fall apart, in your willingness to be, in your willingness to grab what we're calling the feminine energy. So let's go back to masculine and feminine inside of you and inside of leadership. So if we've got this being energy and we've got this doing energy, if you just bowled over and you did all the time, but you never stopped to look at what would happen, destruction and waste of time can occur. So I love to give specific examples of where feminine energy shows up in people that you can attach it to. So if you think of the greatest leaders of all time, Nikki, we're thinking of people like Nelson Mandela. He was a lot in being and forgiveness and peace. That is a feminine energy inside a very masculine built body. We have the Dalai Lama, also being and doing. We have Princess Diana. People love to watch her. She was in that feminine embodiment and masculine. Oprah Winfrey. They have this great dichotomy inside of them. And this is where they're actually tapped into the very life force of the polarity of being in the essence of both, incorporating it in the presence of intuition and data, cultivates a collaboration like geese flying in formation. So you're collaborating, feminine energy going a place, masculine energy. It holds high EQ as a priority inside of a space of a company, which creates safety for belonging, which allows performance to expand. And it reduces people leaving, because people will stay for two reasons. They're going to stay in business with you because they're either making money or because they feel like they belong. And if you are just leading with your masculine energy, an economy like right now can strike, they are exiting. But if you have incorporated the feminine energy inside of your leadership and yourself, and you create a belonging space, they stay because it feels good to be there.
The word that comes to mind for me is influence. So we want to get past this ceiling, right? We can't do it alone. You're never going to grow and build your dreams or your empire or whatever it is alone. You have to bring people with you. And when we live in our masculine energy, it is very heavily leaning towards the alone, because and many times towards burnout, right? Because it's just the doing.
Puncher is by themselves.
Yeah. And I naturally am much more that way, right? I have to remind myself and put blocks on my calendar and not do days so tight. And, the hustle culture, Nikki, take a step back, I have to, because naturally I do lean into that because I'm very driven and whatever. And I think many of the leaders that are listening do fall into that. We have to remember that balance, because influence is really based on connection with others. And connection with others is when we are centered and grounded, so that we don't just connect with one type, the doers, right? And the high achievers. Like, there's all these different people we need on our teams that play these different skills. We need all of it. And in order to connect with them, to bring them with us, right? To influence and help them grow, we have to embrace that to be able to meet those needs. But anyways, the word influence comes to mind, particularly when you were saying, like, think about the leaders that we look up to. One that always comes to mind for me, I'm based in Indianapolis, is Tony Dungy. And just as a coach.
I didn't know Tony Dungy. Oh.
Okay, so he was the coach for the Colts, and just wrote a book called Quiet Strength, and won a Super Bowl and did amazing things, and has a ton of kids, and just a wonderful man and great leader. Quiet Strength, and this balance of so much of that book, and the way he shows up with just this calm presence, but at the same time is making stuff happen, So anyway.
I love it.
Well, so good. I think we got to transition over into kind of what's next. I'm sure people are going to be reaching out to with all kinds of questions, because I feel like a lot of our stuff that we're talking about today is very different, than what we talk about on this show. For a leader that's listening and they feel stuck and they're like, I feel so disconnected from what she's talking about, but I want to get there. Like, what's the step to start? If you're looking at a staircase, like, what's the first step towards that rewiring to really work on the journey? What comes to mind?
The first step I would take is asking yourself if you are willing to allow some vulnerability, to ask the people around you to give you authentic feedback without guarding. And the reason that that's important is it begins to give you a specific trail to dig into yourself and ask the question as you're hearing the feedback, well, what else could be true here of what they're sharing with me? And I'm going to start to look for patterns. Is it the 1%, or did I get that from multiple people? And this space requires you to be committed to your growth. And good news is, when you are a leader and you ask that kind of question, it can gain so much respect just by being willing to receive authentic feedback without any defense and holding that space. And then the second thing, once you receive what it is, remember that when we are in our wiring, our number one protector is ourself and our number one enemy is ourself. It's like when you get in that negative landscape, the number one enemy is me because my thoughts are in a spiral right now and I need to grab thoughts outside of myself. So find somebody. And sometimes that can feel like a tall order, like, well, who do I trust and where do I go? Look at other people that are modeling the things that are on your list that you're looking to upgrade and ask them, who are you seeking? What are you listening to? And who is your mirror back to you? I would not just go into talk therapy. I would definitely find someone that can at least go into the body space with you because you are so smart. You will figure out a way to justify your actions and make them really, really reasonable. But that's not going to help you upgrade. And finally, if you are looking to access more feminine energy, give yourself grace that it doesn't have to look a certain way. My original branding started out with the word she-ness. It was for women. And the reason I called it that is because there is a ness. There is your uniqueness to the she, to the feminine piece. It's expressed in various levels, degrees, and outputs as a thumbprint. It's your complete blueprint, the essence of you, your expression, and the amount that is right for your pattern in your DNA is unique to you. Now, there are practices to bring it out. So one of the first places to bring it out that has now become more mainstream is meditation. Meditation allows you to be, and very active people are like, I can't freaking meditate. Well, let me introduce you to the concept that there's many different ways to meditate. The first way I began to meditate was in Tony Robbins' priming. It's a very active meditation. He walks you through things, you're pumping your blood, and it has a masculine essence, but it allows you to not have to clear your mind. You're doing these visualizations, but you're being and you're creating. Joe Dispenza does more active. He walks you through. There's many of them. And then there's transcendental meditation of the looking to clear your mind. For me, I didn't like to clear my mind, but it's very successful for a lot of people. I like to tap in and go somewhere and to receive the going into nature can help you do that. You can do it for a few minutes at first, and then you can go and immerse yourself in a place that will be guided for you. So meditation quiets for a moment. And the last that just super, super, super easy, everybody can do to activate more of this state of consciousness, of presence, is if you really just commit to yourself that my first sip of a beverage in the morning is going to be my presence sip. It's going to be the activation of the being sip. So I'll demonstrate it for you. I just happen to have a bottle of water near me, and you can, instead of taking the sip, being is about simplicity of the five senses. So what do I see before I take the sip? And look around. This is a 1-minute activity. No matter how busy you are, you're getting all spun out. You can do this any point of the day. But to make sure that you're aware of this, start it at your first sip of the day as a trigger point. So I'm going to do it for you so you can feel the difference. I'm going to look. I'm going to smell. So I'm seeing, smelling, tasting, listening, and feeling. Feeling, what does my body feel right now? What am I seeing when I'm here? So I'm just going to tap in. You'll notice my energy shift just with that. Okay. In the presence of the being, it's remarkable how much more you taste and the sensation of how long I can feel the liquid and the temperature of the liquid go down into my body. Totally unaware at any other time.
Yeah.
So what just happened? Even the pace of my speech feels different. And I'm not doing that by contrive. I'm doing that because that's just what happens in my body.
Wow. Oh, I'm going to challenge all of us to start our day like that tomorrow. I'm doing it. I'm jotting that
One
down.
step.
Yes, the one step. Oh, that's so good. Well, Roya, this has been so fantastic. I know you and I have been talking about other ways of collaborating because all the listeners will agree there's so much here. It's like, wait, at timestamp 12:20, can she please go 30 minutes longer? Right. And there's like a lot of those. So much that we're going to figure out what to do. So before we head over to the lightning round, is there anything that we wanted to make sure that listeners know about where to navigate to go, reach out to you directly or find a resource or anything like that?
I would love to meet you to answer any of your questions. I know this was a windy road for me for almost 10 years to get to some of these spaces that I'm sharing with you today. Simply go to my name, royamattis.com. That's Roya, M as in Mary, A, T Tom, I-S, royamattis.com. No relation to General Mattis, but I would love to see you there. Also, if you want to just pop in directly to have a conversation with me and book a time, you can go to callwithroya.com, callwithroya.com.
I love that. Well, thank you so much. I have a feeling that you're going to have quite a few people taking up that opportunity. Well, we do a lightning round each one of our episodes because I highly value relationship building and getting to know people besides what they do in the work portion of their life. The one first question, I've actually had it for 8 years. And so almost 8 years of this podcast, because people always comment that they learn new books and they're like, that book was amazing. I learned it from this person's favorite. So if you had to pick one book to share that changed your life or your favorite read of all time, what is your book?
My book that changed my life really set me on the trajectory of even being aware of rewiring and of catapulting me in my career then dramatically was The Greatest Salesman in the World. The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino. I was riddled with fear of being the almost made it girl. And remember, I said, you cannot trust your own voice when you're in fear. You're going to be your number one enemy. Well, Og's inside cover, there is a statement that spoke directly to my fear. And I can still quote it today. The reason I love it is because there are phenomenal quotes that you can grab from his book that will speak to any number of fears inside of you. And when you use it, one tip is you have to memorize whatever it is that's speaking to you, whether it's through his book or something else, and you go to the mirror and you go so close where your pastor knows that you'll judge and the hair that's not great that day, and you speak to the pupils. The pupils is where you can access connection to the soul. You speak to your soul and you tell it who it be. So I would go to that mirror and I would say, I was not delivered unto defeat, nor does failure course through my veins. I am not a sheep. And I would say it until that feeling happened. And his book did that for me. And literally, I went from a pity party in my business to number one in the company for recruiting that year. I did all the top achievements. I launched to the top of everything you could do in that arena at that time. So yeah, in 1 year from rewiring.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and that just puts a button on everything we were talking about today, right? Because the core of it's rewiring, and yeah, it's so cool.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so I always love to know about people's bucket lists, and you had shared one particular item that is still on your bucket list, and I'm just curious, when are you going to do it, and why is it still on your bucket list? Skydiving.
Calling me out, girl, calling me out. Yes, I want to skydive. And really, there's nothing that's really holding me back other than I haven't put it on the freaking calendar and found I want to go with somebody. And currently, I guess I just haven't said it out loud enough.
Well, hey, maybe this will inspire you to reach out to a friend, or maybe you'll have someone reach out to you.
I'm saying it really out loud now. Yeah,
I love it. That's awesome. Yeah, that's definitely one thing that you do it and you will never forget. And usually afterwards, I've done it twice. The second time, I actually took a team with me. It was like a team challenge, and now I look back and I'm like, okay, I'm good. But it was an incredible experience. So let us know, and maybe we'll swap stories after you.
I love it. Yes.
I know that you had shared you love different places, variation, travel, different experiences. What's next? Like, what's that next thing, that next stop? Like, what's coming up for you that is planned?
Oh, in travel, I'm going to Costa Rica. I have 3 friends I actually built business with over 20 years together. Now we've just become so close in every way. And we take a girls trip every year, and this year's Costa Rica.
Oh, I love it. I love it. We'll have so much fun. And thank you again for joining us. Go to royamattis.com or connect with you on LinkedIn or any socials. And yeah, I so appreciate the time and look forward to, future conversations. But this was so good. So much to unpack.
Thank you for having me, Nikki.
All right, here's my truth you can act on from my conversation with Roya Mattis. And I need her back for multiple episodes. Actually, we've been exploring that because, as you noticed, we went really deep and there's so much to this. But for my intro episode with Roya, here's the truth you can act on. Number 1, what once kept us safe may now hold us back. Our subconscious patterns, often formed before age 7, still drive our behavior today. Becoming aware is step 1. Reprogramming those old meanings is what unlocks growth, and it's some deep work. Number 2, rewire through the mind, the body, and the soul. The Trifecta Method, which Roya spoke of, works because transformation isn't just mental. True change happens when the body releases stored emotion at the DNA level. Survival coding is rewritten. Like I said, deep work. Number 3, balance doing with being. Masculine energy fuels achievement, but feminine energy fuels connection, intuition, and influence. The strongest leaders lead from both the action with the grounded presence. So balance the doing with the being. Number 4, upgrade by inviting vulnerability in. Ask for honest feedback. Listen without defense, and notice patterns that repeat when we practice this stuff. So awareness plus humility opens our path to that deep rewiring that Roya talked about. And number 5, anchor presence in simple practice. Start each morning with Roya's 1 sip exercise. I love that, by the way. Fully taste, fully feel, and experience that first drink. It's 1 minute, this daily reset practice, and it activates our being energy before the doing begins. So good, and more collaborations with Roya to come. We'll see you next time. We just left the world a little bit better. Now, go do something with it.